I'm sorry that I can't be with you here in person, although I might be already, you never know. But I'm recording this because I wanted to explain to you a little bit about the disability and inclusion strategy, and I hope that I will be with you live if I'm not there already. But just in case, this is me talking about it to you. Strategy, you say, why do we need to have that word? What does it mean? Well, we could have used the term policy, I think, except that the trouble with the word policy is that people tend to think that that's something that only politicians are dealing with and are bothered about. And actually, by using the term strategy, what we're seeking to do is to say this is something that whilst politicians are involved in, everybody in Guernsey needs to be involved in. In fact, many of you have already been involved in getting us to this place, and what we need to do is involve more and more people and businesses in owning this change. It's a group of ideas that have come together. In fact, come together really right starting back with your champion, Deputy Gollop, years ago, who was one of the star 10 deputies who signed a requête that inaugurated the corporate anti-poverty programme, and this is one of the things that has emerged out of it. So it goes back a long way, and it's taken a while to get here, but it is something that all of us have had a part in, and all of us must continue to have a part in Guernsey as a community if it's going to be successful. The first, if you like, billboard message is that we want a change of attitudes. We want a change of attitudes in our community and in our politics and in our employers and employment and all of those laws that go along with that, and particularly in the culture of Guernsey. What is intended to do is to rebalance the systems. So whether these are the state systems, public service systems, whether it's business, or whether it's in the community as a whole, all people, everyone involved with this, with long-term conditions, will have equal access to all opportunities. It is about creating an environment where we can have equal opportunity. It won't happen overnight, but it's about creating that environment. And this may involve people to be treated differently than they are at the moment, so that they can be given access to equal opportunities. So part of the reason it's taken this long is that we wanted to put all these ideas together so that we have a clear understanding of where we want to get to, and that we don't lose out any of those on the way. And also alongside that, we'll be seeking a request to extend the UN Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities to Guernsey, which can be done once for the local legislation has been introduced. We want to make sure that the States itself is doing all that it can to help people as an employer and as a provider of goods and services. And so it's intended to undertake a number of reviews and audits to help us to change. This will include a review of children's services. It's hoped also that we will promote, facilitate and enforce these changes required as an organisation, so that we could have at arm's length a commission or a group of people who can help us and help the states to move this forward. So it's not seen just primarily as a political initiative, but something that the whole community can own and take part with. Certain aspects that you will find under the Supported Living and Ageing Well strategy are not included in the Disability and Inclusion strategy because they're included there. So there's not going to be duplication in that respect. So just because you think this doesn't include everything that I was looking for, there could be two reasons to that. One, it's included in another strategy, and secondly, this, as I said to begin with, is only the first step on that route. Well, actually, a cast of thousands, you may have been in it, has already been involved in filling out questionnaires and speaking to researchers to provide all the relevant information. And this has been used to develop the strategy, as has more detailed information from people with long-term conditions and their carers. The researchers have also spoken to people in group settings as well. People have spoken directly to Deputy Gollop, champion, and to the Disabled and Equalities Officer, who have fed all that information to those creating the strategy. Other people have spoken to representatives of some of the key players like Mind, Health Information Exchange and the Guernsey Disability Alliance, who have all sat on the Disability and Inclusion Steering Group and have fed relevant comments into the process of developing this strategy. From the research that we've done, there are 3,600 or thereabouts people potentially with a long-term condition that causes them significant difficulty living in Guernsey or Alderney. These people are the people that the Social Policy Group wants the strategy to focus on. There are potentially another 7,400 people who have a long-term condition that causes them some difficulty, and another 3,000 islanders who have a long-term condition but have no difficulty. These other two groups could nevertheless be subject to discrimination. Guernsey has high levels of employment compared to many other parts of the world, with 70% of people of working age with a long-term condition in employment. Having a disability still means you are more likely to be unemployed. Nearly 1 in 10 households also have at least one person who provides informal or unpaid care for a family member, a relative or a friend. We do not always look on ourselves as carers in any official way, but we may need help in understanding ourselves so that we can support our child, our partner, our parent, our grandparent, friend or relative. I myself have been in that position along with my wife when we looked after my disabled elderly parents for 7 years. So we understand that. We are a small community, and most of us can comprehend that this is the sort of community in which people can and do cope, but we want as a government to be able to support them and also to help them by keeping proper data. And this whole strategy has enabled us to get and collate some of this data together for the first time. Like all good films, there have been a number of dates that have been associated with this strategy. When is it going to come to the States? It's coming soon to estates near you. But actually, it's taken longer than we perhaps thought to begin with. And then, of course, we wanted to make sure that we had everything in order before we brought it to the States. Some of you may be well aware also now, with the way the States is structured, that actually getting it to debate in the Assembly involves jumping through a number of different hoops. So it could be seen a bit like a film in that respect. The Social Policy Group had been awaiting detail on a number of items before the report could be considered by the Policy Council, but we're roughly at that stage now. So that means we'll be looking at the autumn, at November, for the states actually debating in the Assembly the Disability and Inclusion Strategy. That means that the strategy could become widely available in October. Well, I'm not one to gaze into crystal balls, but I do think there's been so much effort and so many people have been consulted that I do believe the states will support it. But this is really where you come in as well, because every states member sits because somebody has elected them in. And so we need your help also to support this strategy and to contact your states member and to say, please, will you support this, and to encourage them to take it seriously when it comes to debating and to voting in the chamber. Well, like anything else, with great difficulty. And today we are having to make serious consideration for how we afford things and to prioritise things. I'm glad to say that this is one of our priorities in the Social Policy Group. And so we do expect the states to fund this properly. We're not going to be able to do everything all at once at the speed we'd have liked to. But then, as my father used to say, as an old saying in Guernsey French, un morceau de pain vaut mieux que rien. A piece of bread is better than none at all. And actually, I think this is more than a piece of bread that we're getting here. It may not be the whole loaf right at the beginning, but it's certainly a good start. So I encourage you to support it. I encourage you to encourage states members and others to support it as well. It is intended that there will be a phased implementation of this plan. This will start with the drafting of legislation and providing information to a wide variety of people. And the providing of information and, if you like, the re-education of people and of organisations in Guernsey is actually vital to this working well. At the point when money is available, I'm keen to see help provided to implement the strategy long-term through an organisation such as Equality Guernsey, which will be set up at arm's length from the government. Well, the answer is, from day one, probably not anything at all. That's not because there isn't going to be any difference, it's because it's day one, and right at the start, all that will have happened when you wake up on day one, having the states having voted it in, is that there's going to be a change in the thinking right at the top of government in Guernsey. But little by little, as we move on, as people begin to understand that disabled people cannot be treated in the way that they were treated before, there's going to be, I believe, a change, not only to accepting that that is the case, but having people who will want to treat deliberately, proactively disabled people in the same ways, with equal opportunities and with equal access to other members of our society. And that's going to happen, if you like, from day one, because that's the change in the thinking that will have been signalled by this strategy being accepted. It is about helping businesses, our communities, to change their attitudes and to be more accepting. And as that takes place, you're going to see changes in your life, because there will be options available to you that weren't available before. I think in terms of employment, in terms of growing up in Guernsey as a young person, in terms of finding information, and in terms of independent living, there is going to be increasingly from day one more change each day, each week that passes, each month that passes. So we'll have a different sort of community in Guernsey in the future, and that's something I'm really looking forward to, and I hope you are too.